All right, Girmay, we sit here and you are the executive-elect. What are you doing today to prepare?
We are doing a lot. You know, in a typical year, Chris, the new executive would start in January. But because we have a special election to fill an interim position, I would have to start the job as soon as the election is certified on November 25th. So I have 2 weeks to set up an administration, identify my priorities, and get the ball rolling here. And that's what we're doing. In a matter of a few weeks, we have established a transition committee of 100 people. We have 4 co-chairs. We've identified my 4 top policy priority areas. People can check out all of that information on girmaytransition2025.com.
How is that different than what you would do if you had taken over in the first week in January?
I would have had a lot more time to do it all, right? If I were to take over in January, I would have 2 months to identify my priorities, hire people, set up an administration, take office, and now I have 2 weeks to do it. So it's a lot.
What issue do you want to tackle first?
First and foremost, I have to hire a really good team. King County is a vast government that spans 39 cities and countless issue areas. And so I have to have people who have the expertise and the experience to deliver for the people of King County. So number one issue to tackle is setting up the best team possible. After that, I've identified my 4 top policy areas as number one, breaking the cycle. There's a cycle of people who are experiencing the overlapping issues of homelessness and addiction and crime and incarceration. They come into the King County jails and they are circulating back and forth from the streets and back into jail. I want to help break that cycle. Number 2 is building for affordability. I want to make sure that we're building the infrastructure that's needed to meet the needs of our growing population. So building more housing, building more childcare, building more transit, building more business opportunities. I believe that increasing the supply of those things will drive down affordability or increase affordability. And so that's number 2. Number 3 is boots on the ground. I want people to see and feel King County outside in high impact external facing positions. I want you to see us doing community cleanups, graffiti cleanups, doing outreach to unhoused people, knocking on doors of low-income apartments, connecting people to services, and harnessing the volunteer spirit of our residents to do more volunteer activities. And finally, it's better government. I know you've seen the DCHS report. Things like that are unacceptable. I want to make sure that we are an accountable, transparent, efficient government, and I want to drive in the policies that make us so.
So on that third B, you also heard an employee, a longtime employee, kind of allude to this as well. As we sit here in an empty office,
Yeah.
what about getting King County employees back to the office?
Yeah, as I mentioned in the campaign, I believe that a balance is needed. I absolutely think that having more people in the office helps with camaraderie and productivity. And I also know that we have a new era where people are able to be productive from home. I also know that in order to be competitive in hiring, we have to have the best possible working environment, and people have children. We have a childcare affordability crisis in this region. So I want to set the policy of a 3-day-a-week return to work schedule, and I want that negotiated at department by department, because my lens ultimately is not an ideology. It's what's going to result in the best possible service for the residents of King County.
And as you settle into office in those first few weeks, I mean, is there a significant policy change? You know, a lot has been said about 16 years of one person running this department. Is there a significant policy change that you want to make out of the gate?
I want my executive office to reflect my priorities. And so that means if I say that breaking the cycle of homelessness and addiction and crime is my top priority, I need a team in my executive office to prioritize that and report directly to me. Right now, that doesn't currently exist in the executive office. So you will see changes that reflect my priorities, and you will also see changes around making sure that people see and feel our impact. The work product of my transition committee, of those 100 people, I'm giving them the charge of, don't just give me long-term abstract priorities, give me in each priority 3 to 5 low-hanging fruit ideas, things that we can implement quickly, that our residents will feel quickly. And so from that perspective, people will also feel a change very soon.
You and I have talked about this before. The executive's office does not get the same amount of attention as the Seattle mayor's office just down the street.
That's right.
What do you think people don't understand about being King County executive?
I think first and foremost, nobody associates themselves with living in a county. People say I live in a city and I live in a state, and so that just naturally the county government falls into the background from that perspective. I think people don't understand that this is a very powerful government. The budget is bigger than Seattle's budget. The staffing levels are bigger than Seattle's staffing levels. And so I would invite people to get to know us. Let's work together. If we want to solve our region's most intractable challenges, we have to have a forward-leading, collaborative county government that's working with community members, city governments, state governments, private sector, nonprofit sector, and that's going to be my goal.
When it comes to public safety, you and I have talked about this a lot. There seems to have been some ruffled feathers, people who have been angry, whether it's the sheriff's department, whether it's prosecutors, whether it's people talking about the youth jail.
Yeah.
When it comes to public safety, as somebody who's been the public safety chair, what do you change now that you're executive?
For sure. I think first of all, it's tackling that crisis that I mentioned before of people who are living outside with those overlapping issues of addiction, mental health issues, and sometimes committing crimes and ending up in our King County jails. I want to have a very data-informed way of tackling this crisis and elevating its priority level, because we do see associated crime and public safety issues and feelings of safety when there's lots of public disorder outside. And so that's number one. Number two is making sure that the communities who are lacking investment have the things that they need to live the healthy and safe life that's required. When I first got on the King County Council, I sat with the prosecutor's office and they showed me the incidents of gun violence around King County, and they showed me a map of how low income an area is, and it was virtually the same map. And so I want to make sure that we are partnering very closely with service providers and city governments to hone in on those areas and make sure that we're building the relationships and getting the investments that are needed to prevent things like gun violence from happening in the first place. So you can feel a sense of really collaborative impact on breaking the cycle. You can feel a very focused investment in communities that are most at risk for public safety issues. And you can also make sure, you can also expect that I'm going to invest in stabilizing our criminal justice system, just as Executive Braddock has, so we avoid devastating cuts to the sheriff's office, to prosecutors, to court system.
A longtime King County executive, Dow Constantine, as you know, had wanted to close the youth jail.
Yeah.
That is an issue that you used to be for, you're now against. Any decision on whether you will look at closing the youth jail?
We will not close the youth jail, we will reform it. I've mentioned this many times before. When it comes to the youth jail, we have two goals. We want to keep the public safe, and we want the well-being of our youth so that they are set up for success when they leave that environment. I feel that the way the jail is currently structured does not achieve those goals. When I go downstairs and I talk to the youth who are incarcerated and they come out of their cells and they're telling me that they feel dizzy and disoriented and having a hard time of managing their anger, that's unacceptable to me. And so first and foremost, we need a secure building. That is why I do not want to close that facility, because there are very serious crimes that require that people are held somewhere for a particular period of time during their trial. And it's also true that the internal infrastructure and programming that happens in that environment has to change. I want it to be more therapeutic. I want it to be more integrated with community services. I want it to be more educational. And I want to set up our young people so that when they leave that environment, they are less likely to recidivate.
The other big issue I think that's right in front of you is what to do with the KCRHA.
Yeah.
You know as well as I do that the mayor of Seattle has said potentially wanting to make a big change there later on this year. We don't know what's going to happen with that race.
Yeah.
We've seen layoffs there. We've seen all sorts of issues just in terms of staffing. Do you want to keep the KCRHA as is, or does there need to be a significant change there as far as King County is concerned?
There absolutely needs to be a significant change, and I look forward to seeing who wins the Seattle mayor's race, because we're going to have to sit down and really chart a new path. And not just with the Seattle mayor, we need to bring into the room our suburban mayors, our private sector, our nonprofit sector, and really say what are the reforms that are needed for a regional approach to make it work, because right now it's not working. And so new leadership is a time for a reset and to try something new, and I'm ready, willing, and able to collaborate across the region to try something new.
I will tell you, and this is objectively, that this is the second campaign now I've seen you run where you remain positive.
Yeah.
When you ran against Larry Gossett, who is a beloved civic figure in this region, you stayed positive.
Yeah.
In this particular race, you stayed positive. It was noted by others that you and Claudia both stayed positive. What does that say about running a race in 2025, and can that be done again?
For me, I didn't run a race just to win a race. I ran to chart a new path and to deliver for the people of King County once I win. If I go around trashing the people who I have to work with, that's gonna make my ability to work with them worse. And so for me, what I really am proud about when it comes to my campaign is now I will still have a working relationship with Councilmember Balducci. I still have a working relationship with Councilmember Gossett. I still have a working relationship with Executive Braddock and Executive Constantine. These are all people that I have to continue working with. So I'm not gonna prioritize my ego or my feelings. I prioritize being able to deliver, and I think we will be able to do that together now.
I asked you before we sat down if you could have imagined this 6 years ago when we first did an interview outside Franklin High School. When you were growing up in subsidized housing as a kid, as a teenager, is this something you envisioned?
Not at all. I didn't envision it at all. You know, when you're growing up in public housing or experiencing homelessness as a child, I didn't think about my experiences as policy decisions by other people. I just thought this was the reality and this is what it is. I ran for King County Executive to show people that things are not just the way they are. They are brought about by decisions, and decisions can change those realities. And so I look forward to working with the people of King County to make sure that we have a region of safety and opportunity for everyone. Thank you. Appreciate it, Chris. We're going to keep going. How many more of these are we going to do?
A lot.